Hello again to all of you staying with us for a second day. Thank you for being with us. We're coming to the final session, a round table that will touch a very interesting issue that comes more and more into discussion the last decade, if you like, still on, very live. That's the connection between designing a project and operating a project. What is different today in this discussion is that we skip the construction phase. Ideally, if we have a perfect design, probably will design something that the constructor has nothing to change. So the operators will receive something that is exactly as designed. So any problem designed will be inherited to the operators. This is what we're invited today to discuss. I'm very pleased to have with me very distinguished speakers, very experienced people covering business, academic, but also legislative areas. With me today, I'm Georgios Panopoulos. Probably you know me from a previous session around table yesterday, and I wouldn't get into more information than working in construction safety for about 40 years this year. And I've got with me Christos Argyropoulos from the European University of Cyprus, Panos Stavrakakis from Health and Safety Executive UK, and Evangelos Pyknis from Cargill. I wouldn't take into a long presentation of the three distinguished speakers, but I will ask them kindly to make a short presentation of themselves and also make a statement about the issue we will discuss today. And then we develop our discussion. You are all welcome to submit your questions and statements to share with us and build up a fruitful and useful discussion. Let me start, well, I always start from the academians because all we go through the university first. So, Christos, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, George. Let me allow to just say a few things about my background. Currently, I'm an adjunct assistant professor in health risk assessment at the European University of Cyprus. I did my PhD at Imperial College of London in chemical engineering, computational fluid dynamics. And after 2 postdocs in process safety at Texas A&M University and Medical Economic Process Safety, and also real project in industry, oil and gas industry, I will be very happy today to discuss with you about challenges and gaps and how we can identify and also improve with ideas and suggestions the current trends of process safety. George, this from my side right now for my profile, and I will continue then with more details about the topics that I would like to discuss with all of us here.
Okay, Panos, let's come to the legislatory side then.
Thanks, George. Many congratulations for this year Safety Gala. Very happy that to see this event grow. It gets more mature, integrates more new ideas, and I'm sure that Safety Gala is producing huge positive impact at this corner of Europe. Many thanks, George, for inviting me to participate in this panel. I work for the Health and Safety Executive, who is the UK regulator for occupational health and safety in the United Kingdom. I work for the Science Division, the Health and Safety Laboratory, and I hold the role of sector manager in construction built environment. This is a new role for me, and this is a new role for my division. The purpose of my role is to work with my regulatory colleagues, scientists, with the industry, with the UK government and to produce outcomes that can improve the health and safety for the construction workers in the UK. Before that, I said I spent the best years of my life in Hellenic Navy. I used to be a naval officer, but then I moved on to academia. I worked for several years consultancy and research, and 5 years ago I landed to HSE. About the topic, I think this is very, very important. The planning process is paramount importance. It's the phase that you have the ability to influence the life of the asset and to design out harm and potential risks. But let's go with introductions and we'll continue the discussion as it flows. George?
Thank you, Panos. And continue with Evangelos.
Thanks, George. Good afternoon to all. Pleased to be one more year with the group of Management Force on this Safety Gala and contributing also. Great honor for that. Evangelos Piknis, my background, I'm a chemical engineer with postgraduate studies in environmental and business administration. I can call myself rather an HSE professional, total 25 years in the business and in the discipline, having passed from oil and gas, downstream operations, construction, and now in the food manufacturing industry with Cargill, a corporate organization that hosts something like 150,000 employees across the globe. And holding a position that relates with CapEx build projects, so responsible for the EHS activities or HSE activities within EMEA region for the respective investment programs of the company. And of course, eager to share experiences in this particular area of design and planning in order to come up with the safety improvements that we all aspire.
Thank you, Evangelos. So if I counted well, we are over 100 years of experience in this panel. So the expectation is very high. So we have to do our best. Right. Well, let me start from you, Evangelos, because now you are in the middle. You've been before, again, in the middle in the construction phase, but however, you were linked to the designers and to the operators. All right. May I have your statement? How do you approach the matter?
Yeah, first of all, I would like to grasp the opportunity out of statements that were exchanged in previous sessions and try to define more on the design term. The expectation is it to redesign, reassess safety, or safety to follow a project that comes up out of a wider investment program. This is a kind of food for thought, I would say, because I don't know in how many occasions we have lived and we have experienced projects that are done for the sake of safety, redesigning safety, reassessing, or improving safety solely, without being part of another wider program. So for me, definitely the intention is to design out risks and harm for people, always based on the approach of the upper level controls. I've seen again in one of the previous sessions the hierarchy of controls, talking about elimination, substitution, and engineering. So the intention is to really come up with controls that stay in that space and not result into the very common, very usual defenses, which is administrational controls and PPEs. So I see as really vital the fact that there is a team behind design. It's not a one-man show. It's not a single designer. It's a stakeholder management. So everyone has to contribute in terms of expertise, in terms of competence, I would say, within the design and planning team, and of course, keep safety integrated into the whole planning process. That's vital. The challenges that I see is, first of all, a kind of competition rather between safety, cost, and schedule. These are the key items that we always face in our discussions with designers team or engineering teams. And the result, of course, and the outcome is not always favorable for safety. So that's a challenge, but it is also an opportunity. I see challenges as an opportunity to influence as much as possible the whole planning and the whole design. The resources, it's also vital. There should be a communicating program, a kind of engagement program where the whole team can contribute and, of course, can review the intermediate stages of the design. Lessons learned. Do we really embed and integrate lessons learned into any new project that will result finally into operation? And of course, as in regards with health, safety, and environment, take into account all dimensions, process safety, safe assets, safe people, which relates always to the operation, and of course, environmental matters, notwithstanding that we have as a driver the regulations, but this should not stop only to the legislative requirements, but go even beyond that. And also there should be a kind of open-minded planning concept, meaning that the team, the planning and design engineering team, will have in mind also any potential interferences of the new project, which will be a new operating unit, operating facility, irrespective, with the surrounding environment, the pre-existing environment, and the pre-existing conditions on a certain site. So this is pretty much important. We need to take that into account. And I'm not talking about the construction phase, I'm talking about the operational phase that will create a new set of requirements within an operating site. So that's more or less how I see the challenges and, of course, the vital elements to be considered over the planning, engineering, or design phase, however you call it. And of course, it's a teamwork. It's about members that will have the proper competence and the proper skills, including contracted team, because most of the time we see that designers come outside the organization. They are not part of the client organization, and that's something that has to be considered as well.
Thank you, Evangelos. Well, I think you cover the matter to a very good extent, or overcovered. I keep that is a teamwork. And if I recall what Michele presented this afternoon about modular construction and use of beam, then it appears that the contribution from everybody within the design team is very straightforward. It's not as complicated as used to be in the past. But at the end of the day, yes, it's a teamwork, apparently. Now, coming to compromise between cost, time, and safety, at least what we can do, or what the safety professionals can do, is to identify and promote that cases that really are win-win cases. There are such cases. Means that you can promote solutions, safe ones for faster construction and perhaps cheaper construction. Well, let's come to the, and don't forget the involvement of the client, the end user, the operator, because it seems for various reasons to come very late to a project. And so really you are developing a design for somebody but you don't talk with that somebody. What are the expectations and the details of what these people are expecting from you to design for them? Right. Let's come now to the legislation, and Panos definitely will give a good insight about the CDMs. CDMs is not far away from what we call here European directive for construction projects, mobile and temporary sites. Is not far away from what we can see as safety in design Australia, Hong Kong, or safety from design in the States. So, Panos, please give us some light, the view of the legislation.
Okay. Yeah, about the construction that is in place, the construction design and management regulations that came in place in 2015. So, and this regulations is about the health and safety, and most importantly, they're trying to endorse the sharing information between the various stakeholders during the construction of a project. And sharing information is vital, and especially with the sectors that employing various third parties. So in construction, it's very common to have the big players, the big boys, but at the actual field, you can see a lot of small companies working together. So it's very critical to share the information with all the parties. But also this is the year that it's coming in place a new regulation where we're waiting for the Building Safety Act, where the high-rise buildings in the England, the buildings higher than 8 stories, need to register, and also the building control profession needs to register and to improve their competence. This comes into response from the Grenfell Tower disaster. So it's not very long that this happened, but the report that produced meant that additional regulation is needed. So the UK government established the building safety regulator. So this is part of the HSE. It's part of the construction division, the HSE. It's a new regulator. And similar frameworks would follow in Wales and Scotland. But my concept about the safety is not just with regulations and compliance. This is one part. Health and safety is part of the operations. It's part of the organizational performance, and it's not a matter of compliance. It's not a matter of cost. It's how efficient this organization is, and that way, as an output, would be an organization that promotes and maintains a safer workplace. So this is a leading indicator of how effective an organization is. Going back to the planning process, to the operations of, I think it's very important to consider to take a holistic approach, to take a global view that an asset we need to consider the health and safety of an asset during the whole life of the asset. The life of an asset starts very early at the planning, design process, the permitting process, during the construction, the operation, maintenance, the retrofitting, the purposing, and the decommissioning. And now we are talking, because we are talking sustainability, it needs to be recycled. For instance, in construction in the UK, 90% of the buildings can be recycled, and the vision is in 3 years this to go up to 95% of the recycling. So, and all these stages need to be, the health and safety needs to be integrated, and the ground tower they show us that we need to consider the various elements of an asset. The materials used needs to be consider it as a part of a system. So we need to consider to adopt the systems stitching approach, because in ground building, insulating material was fully certified, fully safe, but how it was applied created these very rare conditions that accelerated this disaster and fire. So we need to take a different approach to consider the safety of the materials, but also the materials will coming together, going to apply together, create a new system that needs to be safe too. Also in construction, the materials, the industry has adopted new materials, for which we know very little about the impact in human health. This is a very, I was talking before about the example of asbestos. Asbestos we used extensively in the United Kingdom for 50 years, starting in the 50s. And it seems that the UK is used to be the biggest consumer of asbestos in Europe. There are more than 1,500 products containing asbestos, and this material has a very, very big effect in people's lives. There are more than 3,000 deaths every year from mesothelioma, and this is a very, very clear example that we need to take our planning very early, the materials properties, and to build our safety cases for the materials will be used. Of course, you need scientific evidence, and this is the importance of science. You need scientific evidence to produce not regulations, but also to produce the business case for a building an asset. But I need to stop here. I don't want to dominate the discussion. Yeah, so.
Panos, please continue for another 5 minutes, and this will be, let's say, the outline of the next year safety gala by itself. Okay.
No.
Good. All right.
We need to keep a diverse discussion today.
Excellent. Thank you very much. A very good approach. And also this, what you mentioned about sustainability, and this comes into discussion more and more often, and we know about the new standards for sustainability and reporting, and safety being an element or a pillar of sustainable development. And really now we realize that whatever we use, whatever we plan as designers, and is inherited to the operator will come in a big refurbishment or a change of purpose of the project to deal with these materials. And you should be very thoroughly design or select materials, type of materials, how to assembly, how to disassembly, how to recycle, as you said, Panos. Thank you. And you mentioned scientific. So Evangelos before said about resources. You talk about scientific approach. So we come to the academians now. Well, Christos is not a pure academian, you're right, but now is representing this.
I will try to present the part from the academia, but also from the applied science and research in a way. So for me, safety has generally been considered, as all we know, an expensive aspect in all processes, as it mainly dealt with lastly. So a strategy is required to ensure that the industrial operations are carried out safely. This is very important. By establishing and preserving safe operations without affecting the structure in aspects, for instance, like design, operate conditions, production demands, can be very, very useful in preventing uncontrolled events. So today, I would like to discuss with you the process safety challenges in oil and gas or petrochemical industry, which term it's convenient for you. I think more or less in similar terms for me, and try to identify gaps and future directions for research and improvement. So process safety includes, as all of us we know, a wide array of issues, ranging from safety culture, process safety management systems, process safety engineering, loss prevention, risk assessment, and of course, risk management, and inherent safer technology. Also, the societal approaches for process safety have been and continue to be reactive instead of proactive. This is also very important. This seems to be compounded by our failure to learn our lessons. I mean, it's very important to understand the lesson learned, the experience from previous events, and share and transfer the knowledge, not also to my students, but also to all safety engineers, okay, and to the people that they want to specialize and improve this field, okay. Don't forget that as we know, and also in the literature, there were some very famous, in question mark, famous, well-published events that change and shape and also influence the evolution and development of the process safety. Just to mention some of them, for instance, like accidents like Piper Alpha, Deepwater Horizon, Seveso, Flixborough, and many, many others, okay, and also Bansivik very recently in the UK. So there are, as mentioned before, there are many directions that we can dig in and try to identify gaps and try also to improve with ideas. And you know, something is very important to discuss and sharing our ideas and also the experience. People with much more experience than me, for instance, in industry, a lot of time tell us what is working and something doesn't work. This is very important to update our theory and many other things. From my aspect, for instance, I'm working a lot with computational fluid dynamics. I did in the past a lot of models for pollutant dispersion or from tank fires in oil and refineries. All of these, they need very useful information for us to try, you know, to solve these problems with the correct input and all of this. So it's very important to know more things about process technology, for instance. This is very important focus of process technology is the development of inherent safer design. For instance, solution of process components, equipment and installation, because this is very important in order to increase the reliability of the systems. For instance, we can use computer simulation, we can use and another innovative development, you know, that is something that we learn day by day, especially in industry environment. Then process economies drives also the technological improvements. I mean, deeper understanding of the, for instance, of the substance properties and behavior under process conditions can help us a lot to improve the process safety. And of course, can be a key to reliable prediction of safe operation. This is very important in a way. Then we have got a lot of challenges for system safety. I mean, system safety includes process safety issues like, for instance, assignment of safety accountability, task, responsibilities, process documentation and knowledge, qualification, training, occupational safety measures, and many, many others. So lately, we have attention to safety attitude and safety culture involvement of the workplace. And stakeholder outreach have also been intensified about this. All of these are very important things to improve the safety culture and also to improve the process safety in oil and gas sector. Another issue that is very important from my side has to do with statistics and the reliability engineering, for instance. Also, there are a lot of things that we can discuss here, how we can continuously improve the process safety performance of an organization or a unit of processing areas, how we collect data and how we share data, especially in our days, which are very important. We try to identify patterns from sharing data. We try to analyze them. We try to improve and optimize processes, which all of these have real impact, not only to the cost of the processing, but also to the process safety, how we can increase the safety of a procedure, of a process. And Yorgos, I will close it here for now. And of course, very important thing is also the process equilibrium system and the control of the process. Another one part of this. And the psychology and organizational science, just to put all together in a way. All of these are sectors that you can find in many fields in different industries, okay? Not only in oil and gas, but I think I just give a flavor to the audience about how many directions we can follow and we try to improve, okay?
Okay. Thank you, Christos. I understood that if I give another 5-10 minutes each, we can shape the safety gala the 16th for next year, the 17th for the year after, and the 18th for in 2 years' time. Right. Well, also, I understand that Evangelos is very happy with you raising the issue of process safety because it comes from this industry. And what I would like here to mention, or not to mention, to add is we discuss about from design to operation. So for those to operate, which is a very straightforward to conceive. For instance, I need a new plan, okay, whatever I produce. From biscuits to cars, all right. So I'm the operator. So your design will affect directly me. It could be a more risky business like process business that might be a societal issue. So if something will go wrong, if we have an emergency situation, this will affect others at the area. So this should be taken into consideration. And this is a very big issue, especially in countries that the legislation about land use planning is very weak. So it's an issue. We can now recall cases that we built up a refinery, and suddenly around the refinery, you see other small business coming as mushrooms, and also some residential areas coming as mushrooms for whatever reason, it doesn't matter. And then, all right, now we have a problem. Again, third issue to add is about security. We build up a pipeline, and we know that perhaps is a case of some people or some tribes or some groups of people will try to steal the product from the pipeline. So it's a security, but the security raises also safety issues. Right. Okay. Do you believe, Evangelos, that all these issues now raised from you, but also Panos and Christos, can be handled during the design phase effectively or to a good extent?
Yeah, for sure, George. One of the key conditions, of course, is a team that will stand over the design engineering phase. It's not the crude model of assigning the feed or the front-end loading process, as it is called, the early stage of design engineering, to an external party and then receiving just the result, but it is engaging under a structure. So there should be a process. And I would say that I'm lucky in the sense that my organization currently hosts such a process, meaning from end to end, from the conceptual step with all the necessary approvals up to the level of execution, of course. contracting out several activities, but still keeping the structure in place for the necessary reviews and design stages that have to be screened properly before we pass to the next stage. So definitely all those concepts that were shared by the colleagues and the group are applicable. They can stand into the design phase by default. One good example that I have, and I enjoyed most into the engineering phase of one of our projects is about the session that we call the 3D model review that hosts all the necessary disciplines from project engineers, process engineers, site people, EHS, and other functions, process safety also. Into evaluating the conditions that we will see later on within months' time in the facility, the equipment, in a kind of real mode, the kind of corridors around the equipment, the maintainability issues that arise, the materials that will be introduced on a site with the new equipment, and all those things that need to be visualized and really get into our review for identifying any flaws or any changes that have to be triggered early enough. So that's one of the elements that does happen, can happen in the design phase, and I have experienced that multiple times, and it's really beneficial for all the end users because they really see what will happen on their side, how it will be, and how easily the day-to-day routine can be managed under the new design and the new asset that will be added, the new equipment that will be added. So yeah, my response is positive that definitely those activities can be hosted under a proper design.
Glad to hear that. And Panos, would you like to add something here?
Yes. Guys, I think that planning is very important. You can design out the harm, the potential risks, and now there are many tools. There is a lot of experience that you use, and especially now that we talked about Michaela's presentation about build, the building information modeling. So modeling and simulation are very powerful tools to help you design a safer and more efficient asset. Now there are approaches that you can produce 3D maps of your assets, so you can design accordingly your tasks during the operation, the construction phase. But also you can produce 4D maps, so you can see your project, how it evolves, how it changes in time. So this digital solutions are very powerful tools to help you plan and de-risk your assets. Of course, now there are new technologies are coming in place, robotics, automation, and now with the introduction of AI, more improvements can be integrated. But what Christos mentioned before, I think it's what is important is the safety culture. The safety culture is the foundation where you can build your health and safety strategy, and also integrating a strong health and safety culture into your planning process. It's a very good way to avoid future surprises.
Okay. Christos,
I would like to... Yes, George, please.
Forget for a moment the process industry or process sector. I would like to come back to that later. Why I'm saying that, I understand that mostly we are working on a more, say, conventional projects, which is very or standardized or more simple industrial projects or residential projects or office projects. So let's concentrate on this and come back to building information modeling, which is, let's say, very hot the last 5-6 years, perhaps. And I think Evangelos mentioned that the information or the experience gained in previous projects should pass to the next project. Do you think that such a modeling, such a tool would help in this direction?
I agree that especially the numerical simulation, something that is my field, and I have also worked with building simulation from the aspect of indoor air quality, which is also very important part of all of this project, because it has to do also with the exposure of pollutants at everyday life. And it's not only, I mean, the houses and, you know, the flats that we're living, I mean, in everyday life. There are also administration buildings that are inside in refineries or in other type of industries. I think the most advantage part of a simulation is that you can do things in a very cheap way instead of doing something like experiments. This is very important. Okay, of course, especially in engineering field, you know, we need the models. They can give us, you know, a first idea, and you know, for the things that we want, or to try to simulate in a way. But we have here to highlight and say that it's very important to validate our models, and this is not in most cases the easiest part, especially when you have got accidents. It's not easy to, you know, to validate a fire, an explosion. These are things that, you know, needs a lot of dedication and a lot of discussion with people who have got great expertises gaining during all these years. Okay, and also I think another one important part of this type of simulation is about the accuracy. I mean, how are you going to import as much better as you can see? I mean, the skeleton of a building, you know, how you can be more close to the reality in a way. Of course, there are a lot of techniques, a lot of methods. Of course, we are very lucky because now we have got a lot of computer resources. It wasn't the same, for instance, when I was doing, computational fluid dynamics for 20 years simulation, and now, I mean, I had, you know, some weeks to take a simulation, and now I can take it honestly in one day. I mean, this is, you know, things that we can see in everyday life, how the technology have advanced all of these things. Also, George, if you allow me, I would like also to make a comment about sustainability that you mentioned, and especially for the engineering sustainability. You know, we know that the sustainable development deals especially with three major components. Okay, we can say, like, for instance, aspects of environment, social aspects, and economic factors. These three are the most important, and we have recognized that the engineers can contribute significant to the promotion of sustainable development. So it's important to mention here that there are various tools and approaches which have been developed in order to achieve the goal of sustainable development across engineering departments, regulatory bodies, industrial sectors, and society. For instance, we have got major initiatives are designed for environment, life cycle assessment, sustainability indicators, chemical safety strategies, exergy analysis, and among many others. Okay, so it's vital and can be recognized, I think, both from industry and from academia, that there is a need for innovation in engineering to design sustainable products, processes, and systems. This is very important. And to close it here from the sustainability engineering part.
My understanding, I have the feeling that all you three say, well, we've got the tools, we've got the information, we've got the capacity. So what goes wrong then? And though Evangelos said, yes, I work for many projects that we take from the very conceptual stage, safety on board, but still we come across projects with significant weaknesses or significant delays, because if we go back and think about, we can give many examples on that, every one of us. So what do you think goes wrong? Evangelos?
Yes, George. I think that one of the key objectives of a proper design is operability, maintainability, reliability. Those factors are covered in a way, however, it needs a kind of perspective long-term in order to understand what issues might arise over the operational era of a project. So there, I think that we miss a kind of total picture. There we have the most of the issues, call it lower priority issues like the ergonomics. So the human factors ergonomics is something that probably it is compromised against cost. That's something that practically happens. Up to issues that relate to high-risk activities that result out of the operational model of the new asset or of the new facility. For example, not having edge protection on new buildings where we know that we are hosting a number of HVAC units on the top of the roof of the building. And though the edge protection handrails are not of the proper specs in order to prevent high-risk accidents, falls actually from a height. So I think that those items that look like detailed, a lot of detailed, in essence, in the day-to-day activity of a project in the operational era, do pose quite high risks. And that's something that probably is missed out from the whole concept of reviewing the next day, which is after commissioning, after startup of a project. That's my view on that.
Well, you focused on high-risk cases. However, I would like to share a very recent experience I have, or an example that I came across. I visited a fabrication company, so a big buildings with skylights, very tall buildings. So I asked the guy who was with me from the company, I said, have you clean up the skylights or did you replace them? Because bright lighting was coming into the entire hall. So the next question is, well, I'm very curious if you switch off the lights, if there would be any difference. So you consume power, but you don't see any difference. So even if it's not only the very high-risk areas, but also other areas, let's say rather soft areas or sustainability or energy areas. Okay, you may say, or argue that, all right, that's not a safety issue. Why are you interested in that? Yes, I am interested in that because every time, well, the lifetime of LEDs is whatever it is. So if it's on all the time, I have to come more often to replace them. And to go to 7 meters high, well, is it troubles and the risk involved? So coming to these little things, I realized from my experience that there are many, many cases that you can save money and you can save risk or avoid risk if you like. Okay, having said that, Panos, your contribution to why seems we failed to have a good design, a safe design.
Yeah, I think what we mentioned before is how to prevent disasters. I think we need to, in order to prevent future disasters, I think you need to learn from the past incidents, small and the big ones. People used to overanalyze the high-profile disasters like the Grenfell Tower or the Piper Alpha disaster. So these disasters were ground-breaking points in time that produced huge changes in the safety regime. I think learning from the past can lead us to a safer future. So that means, but also it's an approach that we use in HSC. We conduct incident investigations and we learn from this. We take the learnings from this, not just to facilitate the legal process, but also to inform our science strategy and to start producing the evidence we need to educate the industry and to enable the industry to innovate, to design safer assets. So I think it's a collaborative approach. It's not just a responsibility. It's not accountability of a person. It's the industry needs to work together to produce the standards that they need to innovate safely and to produce a safer workplace and a safer assets. As we said, more efficient assets.
But this doesn't apply only to, say, industries that may cause or in which we may have very significant incidents. Can apply to every industry, to every sector, correct?
Yes, that's right.
So we can learn from the past, but we can learn from the others. So we have to share the information. And the question is to Christos, I'm studying in your faculty. How many examples, how much of this information of the past has been integrated into your syllabus? Well, not specifically in European University of Cyprus, but generally.
Yes, I will speak my, to be honest, I will try to speak my experience from universities from which I used to be as a graduate student in a way, because I had this, the time, to learn about these things. I mean, I think the most important lessons that we learned were from people, especially people, safety engineers from heavy industry. So it was during my PhD or as an MSc student, we used to have a meeting every week in a way to see this presentation from the people. So it was their exchange of ideas, and we were looking for real problems in industry and safety problems and HSC problems, etc., etc. So regarding the curriculum that you said, especially at Texas A&M University, which is one of the most prestigious universities in oil and gas sector and in safety, because as HSC that Panos mentioned, they have got also the American Corner Process Safety Center. I mean, a dedicated institute only to work for process safety, which is very important. They're the state of the art. And during my postdoc there, we have the chance, to collaborate with a lot of oil and gas companies. Hi, Panos.
Yeah, sorry, I need to leave, catch my flight. Thank you very much, and please go on.
Okay, have a safe flight. And
Bye, Panos. Thank you very much. Have a safe flight.
George, to continue, I mean, we have got, the curriculum, not only dedicated courses for safety, we have got loss prevention, for instance. We have got lectures about lesson learned. I mean, what was gone wrong is very important. I mean, we also provided the students with a lot of review papers. We identify the challenges, the main problems, also papers that describe, which are very important, real events. I mean, major disasters, and try to identify, and also, also during my last semester, I had, with a PhD students course, and I have to do about risk communication management. So we gave them, what happened with this type of accident. How are you going to inform the people? What are you going to do? All of this, is not simple procedures that just learn in books. It's things that you have to share and learn from other people. How you can handle this situation, how you can speak to the press, etc., etc. Okay, and especially if the companies are huge. I mean, not only in size and for instance, oil and gas companies or any other manufacturing companies or pharmaceutical companies. Okay, it's not only in one factor. So it's very important the students, the new people that they are studying process safety, or the people that they want to become HSE engineers, to learn from the past and from people with great experience. You have to discuss with them. You have to ask them. It's not, you have to not be ashamed, I mean, to ask people. And to be honest, sometimes when people, I used to work in oil refineries in the past, like a studentship, etc. It's not easy to communicate with people from industry, especially if they are high experience. They don't, and this is an issue, I mean, in a way, they don't trust the new people with a lot of PhDs or master degrees and all of this. You have to gain your, to gain them. You have to discuss with them to understand that, to really respect them, and at the same time, you're willing, you have the willingness to learn from them and share your ideas and your concerns. These are very important things, especially to the training, to new students, new engineers, and many other things. And I think I would like also to ask Evangelos, because Evangelos is working in a very serious company, in a way, I can tell, in a way, and to tell us
a decent company, I would say.
A decent company, okay. And to tell us about, the training experience that they have for juniors engineers. This is also very important. We try with curriculum to adapt the changes that happen in industry and try to prepare our students to become better, so can be adapted the new things easily and to be productive and effective. Very important.
Yeah, Christos, I would say that within the organization, to the extent that I've also experienced new people joining, the training program goes in multiple stages, from the very typical training modules, e-modules, up to assignments within the company, within different functions, in order to get to know the whole environment. Of course, the company's activities are very diverse in different products. It is a kind of process industry in the food manufacturing sector. It is not simple packaging or food manufacturing. It is also processing industry. So it makes sense. And I know that it has been a practice for years that people go around various departments in order to get to know the activities and the process of the companies. Now, if you ask how much receptive the higher management team are versus the junior engineers, that's a matter of culture. I would say it's about the people rather, and it's such a big organization. Definitely, you will identify people that yes, they are very much eager to receive new people, to receive new engineers, and of course to guide them appropriately. But there are still people that provide the resistance, if I can say, in the flow or process. So it's a kind of mixed situation. I wouldn't say that the culture is towards the one direction or the other, but definitely there are people that take care of new engineers and receive them appropriately, and of course guide them appropriately.
Right. I think that we have approached the matter a little bit, not theoretically, but very broadly from its possible angle, if you like. And now, would you agree to be assigned with a role? Say, evangelist is the owner. So somebody is going to design what the owner wants, and you are the consultant, Christus, and the designer has to do what you will advise your client, the owner, the end user, and the end user should know what it's looking for. So the end user comes for, well, with a concept about a new project and the terms of reference to go out for an RFP, and you consult Evangelos. So, Evangelos, I would like to ask you to give us the topics you would like to cover, say, in a brainstorm meeting with your people in your company about this new project, wherever it is a greenfield project, is a brownfield project, it doesn't matter, is in the same area, is another area, in another continent. What kind of issues you would touch?
Yeah. First of all, I need to have in hand a clear scope. That means that, yes, I want the process equipment and an upgrade of a process equipment, the capacity, the layout that I have in my disposal in order to house this new unit. I need to give timelines, of course, when I do need this to happen. I need to describe to the consultant the process, giving all the flow charts that currently apply in my unit, if it is not a totally new unit. It's a kind of upgrade or replacement.
Say it's a new unit. I say, which continent would you like to locate? Well, go to Africa. Let's put some more resources in Africa. It's somewhere in Africa, all right? It's about glasses, all right? Okay. Produce glass, if that helps. And right, okay, it's brand new, greenfield. Back to you, Evangelos. Oh, you are still?
Yeah.
You don't like glass?
I see your...
Oops.
Yeah. I mean,
all right.
I'm still in. Yep.
Yeah, all right. So
what might be additional issues in the scenario that you have just mentioned?
Is people, I feel people would like to hear some more details, like, all right, access roads is an issue.
I would start with regulatory context.
All right, go from there.
That's the first thing. We have also lived projects in Europe, not to mention Africa, that based on the environmental aspects, the permitting process took something like 6 to 8 months, and that caused a great upset to the whole project. So if you are to locate your facility somewhere outside Europe, where possibly the organization is less knowledgeable of the context, you have to make your proper networking. You have to identify the requirements and the regime that applies for such units. You have to see issues that relate with personnel that might be needed for this unit later on, skills, competence of people, supply chain, because you need material, you need procurement to be in place and in the loop in order to order new equipment or technology for your facility. So all these need to tie together, and the more you get distance, of course, from European continents, the more you get issues on those. So you need a kind of exploration stage before you get into the specific scenario that you mentioned about locating a unit in Africa. So that's something that you have to consider in advance before, again, moving on, before giving the approval on a higher senior management level about the project. Those are some aspects that you start with reviewing.
Christos, I know that the company pays you as a consultant good money, so you have to add something to this to make them feel that it's good that you are paying that much money, and so give us some ideas.
I mean, first of all, when you have got to this type of construction, for instance, to prepare or to like this type of project, you know, you need consultants that they have got previous experience from previous projects that they have been participate. And of course, it's not like 10 or 15 years experience. We speak about with more than 20 years experience and even more. So that's the way that you have to pay them a lot. So I mean, I have been working in consulting also in company for high tech and software things. The main idea, I mean, especially as a project that you said to Evangelos, is from the time that you select a specific area and country, you have to identify the legal status there. You have to identify how you're going to set up all of these things. I mean, the market, you know, the raw materials, the equipment, how you're going to transfer. If you are, you know, the logistics part, which is very, very important for these things. And, you know, you have to do a lot of work before even start to put the first stone there, okay, or the first break. And this is not only one person or one consultant company. I mean, you need a lot of high experience and expertise people, and you have to select members and create a very, very nice team. Teamwork is the best thing that you can do and the best solution for this type of project. You need to find, especially if you need 3 or 4 or 5 fields, an expert of each field to put all them together. You know, it's not easy to coordinate a team. This is another issue. I mean, you have to try and find a way to enhance the teamwork. It's very important to find appropriate people. I mean, you are going to have, you know, a team with, I mean, with more experienced people and with other people with junior experience. So you have to try, you know, to create bonds in the team members, you know, in order to collaborate all together and try to be efficient and try to proceed with high performance to what they are doing. Okay, so this has to do with human resources, but are very critical to the success of the project. I mean, human beings are the most important things. Then you have to follow the procedures and et cetera, okay?
Still allow me, Christos, we still stay in very high level. Okay, we have, okay, this is the guidelines. But when we come to the project, so we're about to start, can we give to the audience some examples? Like, are you interested in security issues? Now, we have a civil war somewhere in Africa. It could be, okay, it could be the investment in Ukraine. So security issues are part of our business, or we say, well, that's security issues, we don't involve, we don't care. We're not in the team, or it's, we are in the team to discuss also security issues.
Security issues are very important, and especially in oil and gas.
Let's put bullets for them to have a list to be useful, if you allow me, if you agree.
Yes. I mean, security is very important. The legislative of the site, the site location, logistics.
All right. Yes.
Transportation also. I mean, you have got appropriate network in order, you know, to transfer your products, or, you know, to collect or send you the appropriate material that you need for your industry.
Perhaps the machinery are very heavy, manufactured somewhere else, and we have to transport them to the site. So if we go through very weak bridges, we have to to strengthen these bridges or build new roads for that. Or if for whatever reason, economical issues of the area would be an issue if there is immigration of the area, and then I cannot find people to work.
Exactly,
Or,
yes.
you mentioned before, skillful people.
Exactly. Very. You need the appropriate training personnel. I mean, without this, you cannot work properly.
And I think, George, you also lived that in the recent gas pipeline project that we experienced across 3 countries, where those kind of works were a necessity in order for the project to be realized there at the end of the day, especially for one country. That was a kind of prerequisite. So I think that if you imagine the industrial environment, especially in countries that are not that developed in this sector, definitely you will have to consider those kind of works and especially the supply chain, how it will work for you without causing issues and business continuity, especially aspects.
All right, yeah, great. So let's continue with some, say, what you believe is good examples, because from what I see from the chat is some interested on more hands-on issues. One, it comes to my mind is that, all right, we have designed the machinery, but whatever reasons, our building permit requires to reduce the space. And then our machinery comes too close to our edges. And so we have maintenance issues. It looks very simple. Huh? It's very simple, but I've seen this many times. And here I've seen in a company building a new plant, similar plant, to experience this same problem with maintenance because of lack of space. And I was so surprised about that. Okay, can we, I mean, become more fruitful, the discussion, and not very high level, and give some examples to the audience, because I see the flow of messages coming to be happy with this.
Yeah.
Some good examples, Evangelos?
I would say that all these issues that you also have come up with, the example that you said, why errors are repeated, have to do with the mentality of each organization. So if it is a really tight process that follows all the steps required in order to review and, of course, learn out of facilities or assets that are elsewhere, not in the same continent, not the same country, then I believe that 95% those errors will be avoided. Within the company, again, organization of mine, we have developed leading practices that relate to specifications for things that can be within the control of a food manufacturing company. It's not a construction-related specifications, but specifications that relate to the materials, what kind of ladders, what kind of handrails, what will be the heights, what will be the minimum requirements for all these materials, even for some concrete related civil type of foundations. So there are materials which are spread across the organization in other continents, in other countries. However, again, I would say that in order to be avoided those errors, there has to be very tight commitment in order to go through those materials and those specifications at every opportunity of designing something new. I have a good example in the company that we do that. However, I would say that due to the aggressive investment program, we tend to acquire sites and assets that are not ready to receive the exact specifications that we have in our organic portfolio of assets. So that's another business aspect of why we might repeat errors. It's about a new asset, for example, that has been acquired. It's not designed, it's not planned within the company. The company sees the business need to acquire a new asset in order to increase capacity or to increase the portfolio of projects. But still, that doesn't mean that it is at the level of standards that the company itself would aspire. It needs time. That's another dimension of the issue, why we do face similar issues within the same company. And of course, it applies around other companies as well, on other organizations as well, that we know that they do make investments, they do acquire assets, but it doesn't mean that they are at the same standards that any organization would aspire. As a first step is move on with the business case. But
the way you put it now, Evangelos, if understood well, is that, okay, we repeat errors. The errors that we are aware of, well, we know is not the right practice, but we make a compromise or an assessment, and we went for solution A, which is not acceptable under routing process, but because of the very high investment program we have, we assess that we make a good profit even if we choose class B product, and we go for it. But do we make errors? Do we repeat errors for other reasons? I mean, we make errors and we don't know we make errors.
I believe that, yes, there is always a chance that we repeat errors. It is the human factor there. It is the group of people that holds the decision-making to take into consideration all the factors that they are at their disposal. And that's similar units, similar design, similar engineering that has happened elsewhere. And in order to feed properly any consultant or any engineering contractor that will stand by the client team in order to deliver this project. Definitely errors can be repeated. Okay. But it lies with people then beyond the tight process or the tight program of review that might apply.
Okay. So Christos, because you raise an issue for the process industry, and you mentioned some very big accidents. So how do you combine this making errors, design phase, in process industry? And we close with that because we have a signal that we're about to end.
I agree with Evangelos that unfortunately, we are witnesses of of repeating the same mistakes, and this is as Evangelos said about human factors. I mean, when we have got people that they have to work continuously under high pressure, this is something that I could see during my studentship or my building experience with oil and gas company. I mean, people that working in oil drilling, or people working in offshore, this is something that is also human. I mean, of course, you try to training them, to try to create a safety culture, which is very, very important thing. We mentioned that a lot of times, and me and Panos and Evangelos and you, of course. All of these are very important, and we have to learn from the previous events, previous accidents, share experience. It's very important. I mean, the high experienced person, to guide properly. I mean, to take him from the hand sometimes, to learn the basics, and then to continue to do the basic until to find a way to learn by heart, in a way, as I tell in my students. It's very important, to be cultured to you, this thing, because we have seen, and you can see also very nice videos in YouTube or in the internet that they're trying, to share about and discuss about things. I mean, in critical industries, you have to be very careful. It's very important at the end of the day to return back to your family. And this is the very important role of a safety engineer, to protect the people in an industry. I mean, please, these things are very important. I mean, to know that you are going in the morning in the industry, to the factory, to the plant, and at the end of the day, you are going to get back to your house, to your family, safely.
Because Michaela here says about safety culture,
Mhm.
I will rephrase a little bit what you said at the end, that working in such a factory, everyone should go back safely home. So what I'm saying is everyone should go home safely. So a child playing somewhere in a playground, the playground should be safe. The engineers, the designers who design the playground are safe in their office, but not the child. Your driver in a process safety industry, driving a truck and killing somebody else, he is safe, not somebody else. So coming to safety culture is something that covers more than what's going on within our plant, but
Yes.
covers all we're doing. All
And
we're
George,
doing. Because
keep in mind, please, that
say,
yes, keep in mind, please, that many accidents occur due to subcontractors.
that's correct.
I mean, even though you
Yeah.
have, you know, training your personnel in unit or, you know, in the main facilities, many times, especially in the oil and gas sectors, you need subcontractors to do cleaning, to do welding, to do many, many things, okay? And even though they say that they are well prepared or well trained, they don't follow the protocols and the guidelines and the SOPs that, you know, the safety engineers provide them. You know,
Right.
not because they do that on purpose. They do because, you know, they want to save money, they want to save time, and many other things. I mean, it's something that happens most of the time with
Well,
subcontractors.
now it's
Mhm.
a key issue here. What am I doing? What is my commitment? And I'm saying that also to the students when I'm lecturing at the university, because the question comes, look, I'm working in a contractor, that contractor does not comply with the safety rules, and I'm a safety practitioner in this company, what should I do? Well, you said one, you said twice, you said third, they want to have only for ticking the box, we have a safety practitioner, you have to quit, go and find another company.
Exactly.
But this way, I will not have a job. All right, that's your decision. And I have a good example here. We have an installation. We bring a subcontractor, an electrical company, to change the lamps of the lighting poles. There is nothing embedded to the lighting poles, any ladder or any lifeline, safe vertical line safety system. So you need a system to approach the lighting pole. So what they decided from the company of the contractor is, okay, have a lander, well, a very standard lander, and put the ladder against the lighting pole, aluminum to aluminum, aluminum to steel. So slip away, gone. So, all right, I understand that from the design phase, you could have embedded the safe system into the pole, how to get up safely. But however, if the system is not in place, what you can say, you can make a last-minute risk assessment. No, it's not last-minute risk assessment. It's a risk assessment and say, I need a safe system of work. So I have a mechanical elevating working platform for this, or a cherry picker, and that's the solution. So I understand. I'm working with the health and safety officer in the companies. All personnel trained and having a safety. Well, that's a good statement from Al-Hai Moriba Kamara, who says all in our company are trained and encouraged having a safety culture. I think, well, the older I get, I think this is the key issue, not the laws, not the protocols, not the systems, is the safety culture, because all this might be in place, but not taking care of them. But because of your safety culture, then you can make them effective. Right. A last statement, one sentence each, if you like.
Yeah, from my side, George, I would like to say that unfortunately, human errors will still happen.
Yes.
Unless artificial intelligence gets
good,
in the picture.
It's good, Evangelos, because we stay humans, not machines.
So if someone introduces rapidly AI, artificial intelligence, then we might see a difference. The important thing is that we let our people feel safe, even in fail situations. So fail safe is the desired objective, even though we have human errors. And I think that in most of the cases that Christos has mentioned, about Piper Alpha, about BP, Texas Refinery, and so on, all those incidents were referring to human errors, apart from the process that was failing. And the second thing is that as I started my statement, I would like to leave the era where we will design for the sake of safety, not safety following the rest of design, the rest of project, and trying to integrate safety, making this dimension always, this effort to integrate safety into the rest of the design. So more design for the sake of safety, reshaping, reassessing, always with the target safety as a sole objective of a project. That's something that I would like to really live in the next years of my career.
Thank you, Evangelos. Christos?
I will agree with all of the statement that Evangelos said before. I would like just to mention the things that we have already did. I mean, for me, it's very important, the safety culture. We have to be responsible for ourselves, first of all. We need time, you know, to accumulate all this knowledge. I mean, to learn by example or by immerse. It's very important to be patient, to follow up the appropriate procedures, you know. As Evangelos said, very nice. It will be very nice to design based on safety. We're doing that, but to be the initial thing that we have to first do, first safety and then follow up. I mean, is very important. And for my side of you know, educational part, I'm willing, I'm trying, you know, to transfer the knowledge that we have all of these years to the new people. It's very important, you know, to share the knowledge that we have and experience. These people are the future for us. These are going to coordinate. These people are going, you know, to create new plans. We are going to create many great things in the near future. So we have to provide them with everything that's possible to become better, at least to this field.
Okay.
Thank you.
So let's have a last question. Well, it's not from design to operation, but well, it fits anywhere. There are countries that they say the government or the authorities are not very keen in enforcing the laws or enforcing safety rules, or the laws are weak, let's say. So what the safety professionals can do about this? Any good idea? Because you have experience from working in various countries. So what can we do for that? Say that law is not existing, or enforcing authorities, okay, is there for the tick in the box. What would we suggest to these people, safety practitioners who work in such countries? Big challenge, huh?
Yeah, it's big challenge, George. First thing I would say that they need to look for resources, for source of information, rather, from areas and environments where they feel that it is a better regulated business environment. And that's the first thing. And second thing is to convey the message, being vocal, stand up for their opinion and for their view, and influence to the best that they can their organization. I would say that it's not really the regulatory context that drives things. We've seen countries like Germany, like France, where, yeah, the culture again plays a role. And we know cases where the system is based on the awarding of insurance coverage for accidents and incidents, and somehow downgrades the importance of safety culture, even in countries where we consider them to be developed ones and not under regulated. So the first thing for me, for those specific cases out of this question, is look for source of information. There is a great pool of material outside, and then, of course, stand up for a justified view on what has to be done on safety in order to improve or prevent situations that you expect to be in place only out of regulations or legislative requirements.
Christos?
I have seen this, during my stay in other countries, and I agree with our friend here. It's very difficult for safety practitioners to convince them. So you have to be, first of all, for me, you have to develop the interpersonal skills. It's important to convince them, try to present the hazard. You have to try in a simple manner, in a way, but also in diplomatic way, to convince them to follow up, for instance, as Evangelos said, standards or protocols from other safety institutes, for instance, HEC or Medical Economic Process Safety Center, or other organizations that you can find material free, and to at least for some cases you can have something to start up. Okay, it's very important. I can understand that in some countries they don't respect the law. In a way that we are doing, for instance, like in Europe with Seveso, for instance. We have, but all the European countries, they have to follow the Seveso. And you have to, according to the criteria they have been specified, in the industry. This is not happen, for instance, in some other countries. I don't want to mention that. You understand about my why I do not do that. So you have to be patient, the safety practitioner, and first of all, he has to try from his respect to himself, to do whatever is possible for him. First, for his personal safety, then to the partners, personnel, and then to try to convince the boss, the high-ranking personnel. This you have to do like a pyramid, slowly. It's not something, you start it and go. At least try to your organization to do the best that you can do. And then has to do with politics. Politics is different thing.
But at least always there.
But at least try, to clean up in a way your house. It's very important.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. It was very fruitful, this discussion. I had a good time being with you. Thank you very much indeed. I would like to thank all the participants staying with us and sharing comments and questions with us, and of course the organizers. I'm pleased to share with you that it was a very successful event this year, the 15th Safety Gala, with good numbers in participation, active participation, and countries participating. So towards the next one, thank you again, and well, think about safety culture.